Hello there my friends, this is the boy and his dog, and welcome to Retro Edition, where I continue my mission to play and review every game released on the Evercade, old and new. In today's video we take a butchers at Centipede, the third game on the fourth Evercade Arcade Cart, Atari Arcade 1. So, without further ado, let's get started. Centipede was originally released for the arcades in 1981, and as we are now in the 80s, we have at least a bit of colour in this arcade game, which is nice. What's great about the Evercade is we have two other versions of Centipede, which I will compare to in a bit. As with the various Asteroids editions, I think each version is different enough to warrant a bash or buy if you like this sort of game. I always thought Centipede was a simple game, but with a bit of a genius take on the usual shoot 'em ups for the time. A Centipede starts making its way down the screen towards you. I love the animation of the little legs as it trundles through the stage. Like any shoot 'em up, you can shoot at it. Shoot either end will of course shrink its size, but shoot any of the other segments along it, and the Centipede will separate and move independently. Centipedes will always move down and change directions when it hits a wall or one of the many mushrooms dotted around the stage. Whenever you destroy a segment of the Centipede, it becomes a piece of mushroom, putting more barriers in the way and giving the Centipede more quicker ways to move down the admittedly long play area. Being an early game, it only lets you shoot off another bullet once the previous has hit something or passed off the top of the screen. And this is what makes the game more strategic and maybe sometimes more frustrating than it needs to be. I find with this game it's all fun and games until any of the blasted buggers reach the bottom. When you have a few loose ones going back and forth along the bottom, it can become incredibly frantic. The longer you miss these final ones, the more single segments they add to the mix. It's not long before you're constantly yo-yoing up and down, trying to avoid and shoot everything. And because of the shooting system, it becomes so hard to shoot them. I have found for me, if I can't remove all the pieces by the time the Centipede reaches the bottom, well, I'm fucked. And this is in no way a complaint, I'm laughing the whole way knowing my time is almost up. And it's not only a Centipede you have to worry about, a very persistent spider will bounce in often with a telltale sign. Unfortunately, I get so obsessed with aiming for the Centipede near the top of the screen, I completely forget to keep an eye out, and I don't even notice it, even though you can hear it quite clearly. So make sure you don't do that, don't be a Steve. As well as spiders, there's what first appears to be some kind of ghoul charging across the top of the screen. It is in fact a scorpion, and on its way through it will poison various mushrooms. If the Centipede touches one of these mushrooms, it will straight down the screen. If you can get lined up in time, you can clear a whole one in seconds. Comparing it to the other two editions of Centipede, this arcade edition is by far the hardest version. The 2600 and the 7800 both have a much shorter but wider play area, and seem more forgiving with the shoot mechanic. There's less distance for bullets to go to, which helps. And although this 2600 is the most basic looking, it is the most vibrant and chaotic. There is something to be said of the 2600 games, especially how sharp they now look at 1080p. And as always, the 7800 appears to be the most polished of them all. And both console versions, of course, come with multiple options to play. Another downside to the arcade edition over the two console versions is the ability to see what the hell you are doing on the handheld. You can of course stretch the screen to fit, but does anyone really like to do that? In the end, all three versions of Centipede are fun in their own way, but I will admit I probably have the least fun and the most frustrations with this original arcade version. And if I want a quick play, it's always the 2600 I'm probably going to go to, just because how bright it looks, how fast it plays, and how easy it is to see on the handheld screen. If you've made it here to the end of the video, thank you very much for joining me. Please leave a thumbs up or a comment if you would like. Either way, I'm just chuffed you poked your head in the door to take a gander. Join me in the next video when I'll be taking a deeper butchers at Crystal Castles. I hope you have an awesome day, my friends. And until next time, be seeing you.